We have come now to the final phrase in the preamble of the Constitution. We, the people, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. Now, we've been talking about the phrases of the preamble, but you know what? We have not defined the word Constitution. What is a Constitution? Oxford Dictionary says a body of fundamental principles and established precedents according to which a state or organization is acknowledged to be governed. Then it interestingly points out Britain lacks a codified constitution. Always a little surprise here and there in life. Merriam-Webster Dictionary says the basic principles and laws of a nation, state, or social group that determine the powers and duties of the government and guarantee certain rights to the people in it, which of course is the way most Americans understand our Constitution. The basic principles and laws of our nation that determine the powers and duties of the government and guarantee certain rights to the people. In the preamble, this word Constitution is not used until the last phrase. Do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. Who ordains and establishes the Constitution of the United States of America? We, the people, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. If you have not already, it's time for you to ordain and establish our Constitution. It's time to take out your mental sense that, to take out of it your mental sense this is a past statement spoken by other people. It's time to make it your own, our own. It's not, if not, you really do not have the right to ask our government, the politicians and other people to follow it. If you do not take time to make the Constitution your own, not just something that happened as a past statement spoken by other people, you really do not have a right to ask our government, the politicians, and other people to follow it. The 5% take ownership of the phrase, we, the people. We, the people, means us, of course. That means accountability of the continued ordination and establishment of the basic principles and laws in this nation is for us, a responsibility given to us. It means we, every new day and every new generation, say to the government, the politicians, and other people, these powers and duties of government come from us. These are the guarantee of our rights and liberties. Somehow I'm not getting that emphasis out in a way that speaks well. In every new day, by every new generation, we must say to the government, the politicians, and the other people, these powers and duties of government come from us. These are the guarantee of our rights and liberties. If we do not, then consciously or by fault, we are saying someone else gets to determine which rights, duties, privileges, and liberties will be given to us by some mythical other people or the government. We either consciously or by default are saying someone else gets to determine the rights, duties, privileges, and liberties that will be given to us by the government. We might even just by default say the government is the one who gets to do it. And that turns the Constitution as well as the Preamble totally on its head. That establishes a totally different government and a totally different nation with just the same label, United States of America. We either stand together or we forfeit the basic rules of government. We forfeit our beloved rights, and we are willing to sacrifice our liberties. Someone else is welcome to ordain and establish what our future, our rights, our liberties, and our rules of government will be. Preamble says, to ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America. That phrase is perhaps the strongest statement in the Preamble. It says, in effect, that people made the Constitution, not just any people. It states, in effect, that we, the people, made the Constitution, and to this day, we, the people, are the ones who give it power. We, the people, give the Constitution its power. If this phrase is that important, then what does it mean to ordain and establish the Constitution for the United States of America? Well, to ordain, to invest, that means to furnish with power or authority as an official decree, and thus to give the power of law. It is we, the people, who give the Constitution the power of law. Not past people, but we, the people today, continue to be the ones from whom that official decree and that power of law flows to the government. To establish, to institute, okay? That means to put into place something such as a law permanently by enactment or agreement. So we the people give this Constitution the power and authority to be the law of the land, and do hereby place it permanently into practice. There is a permanency in the Constitution that grates on the ideas and ideals of each new generation. Sometimes it still grates on the ideas and ideals of the older generations as well. This should neither surprise us nor alarm us. These are the basis for establishing a more perfect union, enacting greater justice, creating a living domestic tranquility versus just a dead tradition and keeping our rights. And this is the basis of keeping our rights and liberties secure. The founding fathers and framers were so more in tune than we modern people. And they knew that change is the fountain of progress and the only truly permanent reality in the life of a country. Rather than try to put brakes on change, rather than try to dictate an immutable foundation of government and rights, they built into this permanent Constitution the mechanisms for embracing change, adding value and clarification, and codifying the good. This is very important. the framers of the Constitution built into this permanent Constitution the mechanisms for embracing change, adding value and clarification, and codifying the good. Also, being realists, the framers knew that humans from time to time and generation to generation tend to become enamored by new ideas and possibilities without consideration of the full consequences for adopting these wonderful new ways. Sometimes we think of them as wonderful new freedoms. So this process of embracing change, adding value and clarification, and codifying good are paced to ensure careful deliberation. This serves two purposes. It prevents rapid, reckless flights of fancy, and it provides time for resistance to change, for the resistance to recognize the good and embrace it. Now, in case you missed the importance of those 2 points, the founders and framers provided a means to prevent a growing, unstoppable division into warring political factions and thus destruction of our unity and union. That's a head shaker, isn't it? The founders and framers provided a means to prevent an unstoppable division into warring political factions and thus the destruction of our unity and union. But unfortunately, over the last few decades, our politicians have created customs and traditions and rules that have changed government from a system of cooperation, dialogue, respect, and problem solving into pure power politics, a winner or losers take all approach to government. The all-out war, this has descended upon us and has lowered us into the very unstoppable division these founders and framers hoped to prevent. We face a very real possibility that left unchecked, the political systems created and the political practices practiced today will destroy us. The 5% are deeply saddened to see how media and the political classes and the political power players, okay, you call them leaders, but there's more than just the ones that are visible leaders, have worked to drive a wedge between individual citizens as well as amongst themselves. And that is why we, the 5%, have created a neutral, nonviolent, nonpartisan gathering of people who hold wildly different political agendas, but who come together to stop the current fight and flight practice of politics and seek to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility by changing our political expectation of politicians and government to cooperation, dialogue, respect, and yes, problem solving. We, the people, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. This last phrase of the preamble is a powerful statement saying that the people made this document and the people give the country its power. We, the people, give the country its power. And if someone has taken that away from us, then it is up to we, the people, to preserve our own power. The last phrase of the preamble declares that what we, the people, have ordained and established is this Constitution, referring obviously now to the written document that the preamble introduces. But did you realize that language is repeated in the Supremacy Clause? That's Article 14, which declares that this Constitution shall be the supreme law for the entire nation. Here's Article I'm sorry, it's Article 6, not 16. This Constitution and the laws of the United States, which shall be made in pursuance thereof, shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. Anything in the Constitution or laws of any state or to any state to the contrary, notwithstanding. Let me read that again. This Constitution and the laws of the United States, which shall be made in pursuance thereof, shall be the supreme law of the land. The judges in every state shall be bound thereby. Anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary, notwithstanding. In other words, the Constitution is the supreme law, and anything that takes a different stance enacted by a state is automatically nullified. Then the rest of that article, the senators and representatives before mentioned, and the members of the several state legislatures, and all the executive and judicial officers, both of the United States and the several states, shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution. But no religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust under the United States. This written nature of the Constitution as a single binding text matters and was very important to the framing generation. The US Constitution contrasts that with the arrangement of nations like Great Britain, whose constitution is a looser collection of written and unwritten traditions constituting the established practice over time. We need to be guarding ourselves because we are in a state where instead of the Constitution, a looser collection of written and unwritten traditions constituting the established practice of the politicians at the present time is, the only thing I can think of is overcoming is dethroning the very Constitution, the very will of we the people. America has a written Constitution, not an unwritten one. The boundaries of what may be said and done in the name of the Constitution are marked by the words, phrases, and structure of the document itself, and not by any other things added to it by the politicians. To be sure, there are disputes over what those words mean and how they are to be applied. But the enterprise of written constitutionalism, how's that for a fancy word, is at its core the faithful interpretation and application of a written document adopted by we the people as supreme law. This Constitution of the United States of America. We the people means us, and that means the accountability for the continued ordination and establishment of the basic principles and laws in this nation is ours, is given to us, we the people. It means we, every new day, every new generation, say to the government, as the 5% is saying this day, it means we, every new day, every new generation, say to the government, the politicians, and other people, these are the powers and duties of government. These are the guarantee of our rights and liberties. You are accountable to us. You must not abrogate or abridge these words by any means, for any purpose. For we, the people, do ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America, as much today as in the day it was first written. take a stand with the 5%, simply type "count me in the comments below. For the 5% says, "We the people do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America." Join us. And that brings us to the end of the review of the preamble. We the people. Are the source of everything. Everything about government in the United States of America. And we have created these boundaries and duties in order to create a more perfect union, to establish justice, to provide for the domestic tranquility, to create the protections for us as a country, to ensure the continuity of our union and our rights with ourselves and in our own lives and those that follow after us. It is to these things that we, the people, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States